Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to Out of the Park Baseball 25, episode 16. We continue on with our season. It's still early days. We're 50 games in, but things going much faster through the season. We tried to make a couple big moves early in the season, minor moves, whatever it may be. Just unable to move the likes of Rengifo, and actually he's playing pretty decently, but we had a terrible start for our pitching staff this year, and they've started to gel and pick things up, and hopefully they continue to do so because they are literally last. Even now, even after the improvement, they are still last in the right now. We're going to take a look at our international complex and the international players that we have stationed there. I've eliminated anyone who is below 1.5 stars. That's got us down to 41 players right now. I've also tasked us with scouting everyone, as our scouting accuracy can be low on a lot of them. We do have some expiring on a couple of these guys. And then we do have some decent prospects. We have a good 7 players that are 2.5 stars or better, as we're looking at them right now. All of them on the young side, and a couple of them very, very talented in Razo and Ramos, both center fielders. And they might get promoted into the system here very, very soon to start their process of development. Right now, all of these are half-star current players. While it still might be early days, all-star voting has begun, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at how things are shaping up in the season so far. I'm not sure I have any players that are looking likely at this point. All-star voting so far on the pitching staff. George Kirby has had a good start to the season. Tanner Bibby and Valdez. Osvaldo Beto, our player from last year who was in the starting staff, had a 5.5 ERA, has been moved to the bullpen by his new team, Toronto. He was one of those players we offloaded just before the start of the season. And in their bullpen, he's got a solid like .98 whip. So I've went ahead and voted for him. Diekman and Rayleigh are the others, and then we're into the batters for now. Rutschman has definitely been the strongest so far, but Langoliers is doing okay. Not having quite the season he had a year ago. No big standouts among first basemen at the moment, but I'd say of everyone, Wallner is probably looking the best for the Twins. Jackson Holliday definitely having the best start to the season at second base. For third, Montgomery has been the best, ahead of Corey Seager. But Zach Geloff has done enough to get my nod as pretty much our only player who's potentially going to be an all-star, so I'll vote for my guy. Arias at shortstop has probably been the best so far. He's hitting .366 right now and really, really putting up a strong start to his season. Likewise, left field's a pretty easy choice with Abreu for the Red Sox, .382 hitter so far this year and 11 home runs. Incredible start. Denzel Clark definitely hasn't been bad, but he hasn't done enough, plus the injury, so I will not be voting for him. That does leave things much more open at center field. Julio Rodriguez is just slightly better than the other options and not having a good start to his season necessarily. Not for what you would expect from him anyway. Right field's another position that's looking a little soft at the moment. Garcia just barely getting the nod there. And while the last couple of positions have been close, DH is not. Langford for Texas has been easily the best. 18 home runs on the season and hitting .333. When it rains, it pours. Another injury. Urias, who we just recently brought up, and in 61 at-bats, hitting .328. He's been so good. He'll be out for 3 to 4 weeks. Top prospect, Max Wagner, is finally getting his shot. I was planning on having him at the senior level next year, but we don't have much choice. He's coming up a little bit early. Everything is 50 to 55. He's got a little more potential. not great defensively, and locked in at third base only. This is going to end up moving Rengifo back to second, which is definitely not where I want him to be, but we don't have much of a choice. Max Wagner is probably the biggest prospect that I've been able to trade for in terms of current ability. The others that we've picked up were all waiver wire kind of guys. This is somebody we've been able to bring in through a trade with Baltimore last November during the offseason. And in terms of our prospects list, which we're 22nd in minor league system, by the way, now we've gone from 28th to 26th, now 22nd, slowly but surely, turning things that direction, and mostly with just that phase A or B trades that we've had. By the way, here's minor league system, how it's looking right now at the various levels. Definitely doing okay competitive balance wise, but it's Denzel Clark who's 30th. He was up to 20th for his rank until the injury. He's dropped to 30th since the injury, but Wagner is the only other one inside the top 100 and now getting his first shot at the major league level. Povich has been really struggling 0-5 with an 8.23 ERA, but if we are to keep him in the organization, we have to keep him on the major league roster, as he was a Rule 5 draft for us. And see, we have 3 other guys now. We went from having only 2 players, Clark being one of them, on the entire list of top 200 prospects. We're up to 6. Last year, by this point, I think we had already picked up 3 or 4 players off the waiver wire, and we certainly did pick up those couple on opening day. But beyond that, I've been letting things go because we're getting a lot of 2.5-star guys coming in. Right, we had one that we wanted in May, but weren't able to get him, as Colorado ended up taking him ahead of us. Plus, we weren't able to free things up. But what we're looking at here is just 2 and 2.5-star guys, one after another, coming through. Even the young ones, not worth going after, as they're not better than what we have. Into June, player development update. Mitch Spence plus on control. That's one of our starting rotation guys, so looking good there, especially as they all had such a poor start to the season. To see any positives. Kendall Simmons, current gap rating goes +5, but his speed drops. He's at AA. Juan Maldonado loses some potential, but gains current ability. 4 changes to players at the international complex. One of the better prospects drops a little bit in potential. One of the relievers gets kind of a mixed bag for his current improvement, but potential decrease. And then the 2 key guys, Ramos and Razo. In the case of Ramos, we drop his potential power rating a little bit while he does improve his current ratings. But as for Razo, it's good. Current power, current speed, and current gap ratings all improving. He's looking like a player who's probably ready to shift into the system and away from the international complex. But I'm still working on getting those scouting reports back on the updates on the 41 before I make a move here. I think I'll give it probably 1 more week. On the injury updates, Denzel Clark has just 2 days left before he's ready to return from his sprained wrist. We'll get him into the lineup here right away. The others still weeks away. At the moment, AAA has 28 on the roster, with most of those vacancies being guys who have moved up to fill those injury slots. 27 at AA, 23 at high A, 25 at A. We were down to about 19 in the rookie league, but then the rookie league started playing. So from all those players that we signed, or just from the international team for the rookie league, remember I went after about 36 players or so that we've brought in. Some of those have automatically kind of come into that rookie league so that they have enough. They're already playing. And it's time for me to start taking a look at, well, for one thing, a couple Phase B moves, as I made all those extra signings, but also I need to take a look at that international team and see how they're looking. By the way, there's a lot of 30s in here, not too many 20-25 guys in this sequence, but there's definitely some players that we could and should, make a move to get away from, or whatever the case may be. But as for that 41 here, yeah, we're down to a couple guys at high scouting evaluation, but now we have high or very high evaluation for the rest. It looks like we have a few pitchers who just aren't going to be good enough, and so let's go ahead and part ways with them. They don't have enough value. We don't need to be making those phase A kind of trades with them. So we'll release those guys, and that frees up a couple more spots. But we are looking very, very good for a few prospects here. And maybe the 17-year-olds. Yeah, stuff is already 30, 35, 30. I think those are guys that we can get into that rookie level. And then Figueroa, 30, 45, 25. The 25 is not looking great. Looking more like a reliever, so we'll probably sit on him a little bit longer. But Edgar Ramos, the center fielder with the huge potential, does have contact and power numbers already starting to climb. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and bring those two into that rookie level. So we're going to move them to the rookie league. Denzel Clark ready to come off the DL. Armenteros, the guy we called up for him, is only hitting 145, so he's an easy selection to send back down to AAA. And then we'll bring in Denzel Clark off the DL, and that should be a big addition to us, as he's definitely our best outfielder, both defensively and offensively. Well, Ruiz, I guess, is also pretty dang good offensively, but still fairly early in all-star voting. But right now, we have nothing in the one area where we're doing well, which is batting. Not a single player making the top of the list. But as for pitchers, nothing there either. So none of our players are coming in right now as potential all-stars. Die-hard baseball fans, let me know in the comments below, is there a rule about a minimum of one player per team? I feel like that was something that was implemented a while back, that every team will have one player from their roster on the All-Stars. Not in the starters, but somewhere in the backups, reserve players. Everybody gets represented. Meanwhile, for the last week, I've been working really hard on trying to make a Phase B deal happen to clean up some of the extra players that we brought in. So far, no dice. We're not getting anywhere with it. A lot of almosts, but none of those almosts are then asking for that one more piece that it makes the deal make sense. Marte has been suspended for 4 games. A team that's starting to get healthier. We're also a team that has really started to gel, and we've been plus 500 for a while here. We were 10 games below. In fact, we had been slightly worse than that at one stage. Now we're just 5 games below 500 at 31 and 36. 7-3 is the streak, and it's a little surprising because we're doing pretty well. The big difference here, defensive efficiency has picked up. Ks are about the same. The ERA has climbed out of the gutter and into, well, still not good, but getting better territory. Our overall batting averages have improved, where our offense has been pretty stable at just outside of the top 20. Those are not good numbers, and those are not numbers that are going to keep us climbing. If anything, I could see us dropping back down a little bit, but wow. it's definitely looking better right now than it has looked in quite a while for us. Mid-June, next up will be the draft in early July, so we've got just shy of a month until that happens. I'm going to go ahead and pull the trigger on a deal that's not necessarily going to make us better. I've got a lot of those 1.5 star prospects as reevaluations for the year come in. A couple players aren't as good as suspected, and just a couple 2-star prospects that are very young, very likely to be less than what is predicted of them. What we're going to pick up is Elizer Alfonso. I told you before that catchers have a little more value than some of the other positions do. He's only at AA. He's been at AA for a number of years, and really 2. He went right at the end of the previous year, but in 2 years at AA, he's hitting about 300, but he's not slugging for anything. And his defense is, yeah, but he could be a backup in a pinch at that senior level. Isn't going to get much better, but could take some at bats. What they want is Kendall Simmons. The other options are definitely too much, but I think I'm going to be okay with this Kendall Simmons one. It's first base. He's at AA, but he's only a 220 hitter at AA. And while he's got some more potential when it comes to power, he just doesn't project as more than what he is right now. Where Alfonso projects at a better value position, is the same, can hit for average, can be used in a pinch, and Simmons just isn't going to get better for us. So I'm going to go ahead and let Simmons go and make this deal happen and clean up some of that Phase A level stuff. This is more like a Phase A kind of deal than a Phase B, but I'll take it. Remember, I brought up Urias replaced Nick Allen, and that's when the team started performing. Well, Urias got hurt a short while later. Nick Allen got called back up from AAA, so this is where he came back up. He was hitting 151 when he came up with a 379 OPS. Since then, he actually did much better. He got up into the 200 range, brought up that OPS by nearly 100 points, did that in a fairly short amount of time, did that from mid-May to early June. But now by mid-June, he's cooled off again. He's back down to a 190. He's back down to a 443 for his OPS. He's definitely slipping lately. Not terrible of late. I mean, he had a few hits over a couple of days there, but I think Urias is, with him eligible to come back, I'd rather have him than Nick Allen at this point. Nick Allen's just not getting the job done this season. He's definitely been better in his second major league stint, but we're going to send him back down to AAA for the time being. With Urias coming back in, we're now down to Geloff with 1 week left, and J.P. Crawford, who got hurt very early in spring training, is down to 2 to 3 weeks before he recovers from his broken hand, and he's been that missing piece in the infield where we've been coming up short. Well, and really Geloff. I mean, that's our two best infielders at this point in time, and we've been missing them for sure. Cleveland has sent us a trade proposal, and I think I'm actually okay with this deal. So here's what we're looking at. They want to offer us left fielder Halpin, who's a AA guy right now, but he's current 2-star with potential 2.5. I do have a pretty good evaluation on him at this point. Not a power hitter, but he's got quality. Franco Elman, 2.5-star current. Still has a little bit more in terms of potential coming. Definitely a reliever, but a good reliever. Could be thrown into a major league lineup now and probably do pretty okay. What they want in return is Jose Rodriguez, who is a just starting out, high power potential, but really not probably good enough to actually do anything at a higher level. He is 20, but his 2.5-star potential is just somebody who's going to hit a lot of home runs, and he's already hitting a lot of home runs. He is hitting 21 of them so far this season down at the rookie league and hitting 300. Oh, I don't know. I didn't see that part. The other one is Armenteros, and Armenteros is making minimum. He's hovering between Major League and AAA, and he's not doing okay at Major League. He's doing okay at AAA. I think I've changed my mind. The Jose Rodriguez power part, especially. Like, he's hitting that ball a long ways. We're gonna hang on to him. Geloff ready to come off the disabled list. The odd man out is not someone I expected to be the odd man out, but rookies Wagner, Urias are both doing well. Rengifo is doing much better than expected this season, though he has cooled off a little bit. Certainly doing much better than last season. Tyler Nevin got bumped to third base. Not doing terribly well, really not having a great season, so we're going to try, hopefully, to be able to demote Tyler Nevin. Tyler Nevin is a Rule 5 draftee. We cannot send him down. 5 outfielders. Maybe that's where we make a move, as we definitely don't need five outfield. We don't need three right fielders. Arbito Hernandez is another Rule 5 guy. We can't do anything with him. We've got quite a few of them. Cade Povich. Colby White has been great. 2.64 his ERA. Tyler Nevin and Herbito Hernandez. So if anything, it would have to be Austin Meadows, who's only hitting 239. Or we get rid of Starling Marte, put him on waivers. We know we're not keeping him around anyway. He hasn't been the worst player, but he's been a terrible... He's been a DH most of the season. He has cut into that negative that he had. He has gotten better here recently, it looks like. Yeah, so far in June, hitting 273 with 0.2 when above replacement. So he's actually performing okay right now. Or we go down one pitcher. Sean Newcomb has not done well. He's gotten a little better from where he started, but if we drop him, he's out of option years too. I think Newcomb will run the risk on him. Latest top prospects list has Sergio Salazar, 17-year-old with contact potential of 80, power 70, and eye potential of 80, is the number one prospect out there, just 17 years of age. As for the top minor league systems, we're down to Max Wagner and Iniguez, who are on the list, as we've now gotten enough experience that it's brought us right back down. It's weird that you get other guys that it takes them a year plus before they get dropped off the list. Weird thing is Denzel Clark, right? He's had a significant amount of time on the disabled list, but apparently he's too good, too experienced, too old, whatever the combination may be, that he's no longer a prospect. Maybe it's because he's turned 25. You're no longer considered a prospect once you turn 25. That could be the case. I love how his numbers have carried over from AAA to the major leagues, though. He hit 277 a year ago. He's hit 270 now. His slugging percentage is down, but otherwise he's really maintained. The on-base percentage is the same. The OPS plus, the wins above replacement, is headed the same direction. He's doing well, and he's such a strong plus in the outfield also. The arm's not a huge plus, but the range, the glove are very good. See, his prospect ranking was 30th, but he's apparently out of that list now, or he's hit 100 days as a pro, and that drops you from... No, I've seen guys with a lot more than 100 days on that list. Team has gone cold again. That's to be expected with just the general quality that we have. But at 36 and 47, for one thing, we're ahead of the Angels. We're not in last place. We're well ahead of the Royals. It's definitely a competitive record that we have, especially when we're 25th and 27th offense and defense. Get my first glance at what we've got for expiring contracts, and it's a lot. It is very much a lot. But a lot of these guys are going to be able to, we'll be able to offer minor league deals to them. Wow, Starling Marte would take a $2 million. That's a huge pay cut from where he was. So JP Crawford is ready. He's recovered from his injury, and we need to find a roster spot for him. And here's where those complications show up. I've added an extra infielder. I already have an extra outfielder, and none of the pieces right now are pieces that we're ready to really part ways with. So this is suddenly getting a bit problematic of I've got to either make a trade to clear up a spot, or we've got to put somebody who's actually doing well, like a rookie, back down into AAA for some more time there to make room for Crawford. I have not been able to find a trade. In fact, I went through all 30 major league teams looking for a senior squad prospect. Somebody who was good enough to be on a major league roster but had potential to be better and is young. There's a number of those, but they're also high value. Tried to look for like our trio of Rule 5 prospects who have struggled a little bit that I'd all kind of like to send down. Try to package them, and then whatever else I could. Nothing. No dice. Not really even very close. That took a long time to get through and attempt. Uh, but with that done, what I've ended up settling on short term is that Crawford played like 2 preseason games before he broke his hand. He needs time to prepare for the season. So we've sent him on a rehab assignment to the minors to prepare for the season. But that means I've got less than 3 weeks to figure out um, whatever it's going to be that we're going to do with this roster short term. I might just let one of those Rule 5 guys go for nothing to make the space, like Tyler Nevin. Sean Newcomb has cleared waivers. We can put him down. A while back, I remember us being 20 and 30 overall. We're 39 and 50 right now. That's 19 and 20 in our last handful of games. And if we proceed forward one more day, it is a win, 40 and 50. So that's a 20 and 20 record over the last 40 games. That is such a huge improvement from where we had been. Even though we got hot there for a minute and then cooled right back off, we've leveled that out and have been playing 500 ball for 40 games. That's a good stretch. We have an offer for a 2.5, and a 1.5 guy for Robles, who's a 2.5. Yeah, a very solid 40 and 50. A very solid, especially when you look at our runs is 27th and our ERA is 25th. Outside of an improved defense, there's just not much going for us, and yet somehow we've got 40 wins. Remember, a couple of years ago, the team only managed 50 wins on the entire year. We've played 90 games. There's 72 to go. I think we're going to win 10 games. And a year ago we had 59. I think we're definitely headed on our way towards that. So, big improvement this year, definitely. And we're just a couple days away from the draft now. The only disappointing thing is the lack of movements I've been able to make where I've wanted to make movement. It's been hard to find deals, the kind that I'm looking for at this stage. So the team's been relatively stagnant in the short term. And even with just 1 out of the 4 Rule 5 draft guys working out, 1 out of 4 has worked out and has been a very solid addition to us. And actually, I think it might have been 5 guys that I took on, isn't it? Oh, no. Okay, the other one I was thinking of was Bryce Wilson, and that was our waivers opening day pickup that we had. Okay. But yeah, 4. 3 out of 4, not doing great. But you take a chance on those. They permanently become ours if we can hang on to them throughout the season, or we suck it up and let one of them go, and oh no, somebody we got for free goes back to their home club. I think I'd be pretty okay if that's the case to make that room for Crawford, who's not off to a great start. He's played 5 games so far. He's got a couple weeks left before we need to bring him up. Just 238 so far, but that's also why we did that. Put him on that rehab assignment so that he can get ready to play. All right, folks. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. We're already at past midseason, a little past midseason. We've got that draft coming ahead of us. We've got a transfer deadline coming, so we continue to move pretty quickly through the season. Just 2 episodes has brought us. I mean, we had that last off season with the first game of the season, but just 2 episodes has brought us through 89 games since then, and definitely moving at a quicker pace than last season, and it should continue in future seasons with that. That's going to do it for this one, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.